broadcasting live. Welcome to Nesha Talks. This is a platform that we've created to have open, honest conversations and to give you that free consultation, joined by the expert himself. That's none other than Dr. Nelson Makemba. Welcome.
Thank you, and it's always a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to this exciting discussion that we are going to have today.
Yes, and I'm all smiles because when it comes to a newborn, we get excited, but there's so much that comes with a newborn.
Definitely.
Before we delve into that, where's Nesha Medical situated at?
Okay, we are in the heart of Windhoek North. We are in Oyefar Street. As you enter into Central Hospital main entrance, our business address is Oyefar Street F209. They can also get hold of us on 061, that is 22 0778. I repeat, 061 22 0778, or they can go on our website, which is www.neshamedical.com. All the physical address and contact details and email address are provided there. We are a general medical practice. In other words, we see everybody, and obviously once we establish the need of referring further to our specialist colleague, then we do that for our clients. Everybody's more than welcome to make use of our service, and they can reach us anytime.
Yeah, and that's why today's topic is so important, because once there's a newborn, when mothers like myself, when we're done pushing out the baby, we always come to the GPs, right? We always come back, and that's why today's discussion is about caring for the newborn. So let's reverse it. You've seen the mother and the father, about before they deliver their newborn. And obviously you'll probably, refer them to a specialist, but they always come back to your practice as well to take care of the loved one. What are the first rules when taking care of a newborn?
In fact, now that you've highlighted that, I also sometimes help mommies deliver, especially the uncomplicated ones. So I see those little ones coming to this world firsthand. Now, when parents have a newborn, it's just life that came into this world. Their immune system is still naive. In other words, they haven't been exposed to so many bugs. I always tell parents, especially when we are about to discharge them to go home, to say at least, minimal, contact with, people. Not everybody coming home should pick up the little one. Let the little one grow first, and let the immune system pick up strength, and then you can start exposing the child to everybody. So obviously, if loved ones are excited, there's a new bundle of joy, they can come around and, sort of look at the little one. And if people want to pick up the little one, just make sure that hand hygiene is taken care of, especially in the first 28 days of life. And also one of the key things that we often tell our mammies, especially when they are leaving, the little one, need to grow. So nutrition is very important. We always say feed on demand. There's only two things why the child cry. Or they are hungry, or they are wet and they need to be changed. So if you have a little one and they are crying, you check their diapers and nice and dry, it means that I need something. Then you feed them. So those are very key things to look out for. And and we also give mommies this immunization card when they leave the hospitals. It's very important. It's well structured. Make sure that your child is up to date with the immunizations. When those days are due, go to the clinic, go to the doctor. Make sure the child is up to date with those immunizations, because those are what helps the immune system strengthen in those early days of their life, so that when they get exposed to the real thing, the immune system is primed up as well, and they're able to fight off all these kind of things. And when they grow up a little bit, and you are now ready to start giving them formulas, make sure that those bottles are always cleaned properly with hot water, and make sure that you prepare those formula milk, as specification, on those bottles that you buy, so that the little one doesn't run into trouble. And what we also tend to see in that, initial phase of life is they become a bit colicky from time to time, especially if you got a bit of a fuzzy tummy, they feed and then they seemingly are crying and they are cramping. If that happens, talk to your doctor. Oftentimes, there are a few things that we can give that can help with that as well.
I love that, Doctor, you and I are wearing traditional outfits. And I'm going back into, how the older, moms and dads have the traditions around newborns. And we can't have this conversation in an African context if we don't highlight that. I remember with my firstborn, with my former in-laws, it was about, you only keep the child in the house, and then, there's a certain time where you cut their hair, but you don't take him out. The other side, I was about, you take the strolls, even if they're newborns, you burn off the fat.
definitely.
How does culture and tradition, come into par with the, suggested remedies and, how to take care of the newborn? Because that's the opposite.
Yeah.
You need to keep them in the house. You can't expose them to a lot. How does that maybe contrast?
I think by far, if you probably look at some of the traditional practices, they're actually geared at helping keeping the little ones safe, especially the first, few months after they are born, when they are kept in the house. That also somehow, limit the exposure to the bugs. It's just unfortunate that culturally, especially in our African setting, people weren't given to documenting and writing and giving an explanation to why. But I think there's some level of knowledge based on probably observations from our forefathers, how they've done things, especially keeping them indoor, like I highlighted to you earlier. Is the same as limiting, everybody coming home and
The
touching the
exposure,
little one,
yeah.
the exposure,
Yeah.
and if their hands are not clean, they are bringing the bugs, and obviously the little one might end up picking up infection, especially chest infection and all that. But also, we know that from a medical perspective, for instance, if the little ones start breastfeeding, sometimes their skin might become a little bit yellow, or their eyes might become a little bit yellow. We call that jaundice, for instance. It's quite common. You can get it, especially in the first few days of life. We do encourage mummies to sunbathe their babies, to say, look, once in a while you can walk into the outside, let the child be exposed to the sun, because then obviously that helps also with, vitamin D, and the baby is able to buffer up that effect as well. So I think everything in checks and balances. We probably still have to respect our traditions, and our norms, particularly they are not so much in contradiction with science.
Yes.
The aspect of, when do you cut the hair? I think that's probably, should be left to individuals to decide. There's probably no harm, in deciding at whatever time to cut the hair. I've even run into mummies who have children that were turning 3, 4, and they still have their baby hair that they came out with, and mommy was just fascinated by this, little bundle of joy, and she just want to keep her little one like that. So I guess, in terms of when do you cut the hair and all that, probably there's not any medical implication.
Yeah.
I'll probably not obviously advise that somebody cut their little baby's hair, the day after they are born. Yeah, but, as they grow up at some point, when you decide I'm going to cut the hair, it's probably not going to be much of a problem, really. I'll also not probably, advise that you do it, during winter, because it's cold. You don't want that scalp exposed. At least, the hair gives that bit of insulation. So when it's winter, you probably need to keep the hair and maybe get some beanies as well. Yeah, but then as they grow, at any other point, you can really decide.
Great, Doc. As we wrap up, there's so many questions for a newborn, especially for a mom that is welcoming a newborn for the first time. What would be your concluding remarks, Doc, for a family that's welcoming their new timer?
Yes, to everybody really, especially first-time mommies, they always have this fear of the unknown. How I'm gonna relate to this little one.
Yes.
So what we often try to do from a medical perspective, especially those first 2, 3 days that they are still in the hospital, we want to make sure that we get the breastfeeding techniques right. Yeah, so mummies shouldn't be worried and shouldn't be struggling that much. Just listen to the instruction provided for, especially by those obstetric nurses. The child should be able to sort of grab hold of the nipple and lunge on it and, pull that milk properly. Once you get the breastfeeding technique very well, I'm thinking, about 50% of your battles are won already.
Yeah.
Because, we know that, especially, the milk is highly nutritious, first and foremost. And when the baby is properly breastfed, the nutrition they derive from breast milk, it's in its equilibrium. Everything is balanced there. There's also an immune function to it. We also know that when children, are breastfeed successfully, it has been demonstrated as they grow a little bit older in life, they are able to do well psychologically.
Yeah.
They are able to, establish meaningful relationships compared to children that are not breastfed at all. So that, quality connection the baby enjoys with the mommy is sort of, have, psychological impact, scientifically proven so. And even mummies, that, tend to breastfeed longer, that also impact, the psychological capacity and the emotional intelligence of the children as they grow older. And they tend to do well also intellectually. So for a first-time parent out there that are probably saying, we have this little bundle of joy on the way and we don't know what to do. The advice really is, once you get to those facilities after you've delivered, just bear with us, follow the little instructions that we are giving you. And obviously, when you are discharged and you are back home and there's something that doesn't add up and you're worried, don't hesitate to knock on your doctor's door and say, look, doc, this is happening. I'm not too sure. Am I doing the right thing? And then you get guided that way.
Yeah. Great stuff. You see so many bundles of joy in your office. Doctor, thank you so much. We appreciate. Any other comments, any other questions? Feel free to drop it down below and share the link with the newborns that are arriving into this world. Thank you for joining us.